This is Super Yacht News with E. Sisman.
In association with Go Earth, navigating boat buyers to better deals.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. So we've got an update on the incident in the North Sea between the container ship, the Solong, and the tanker Stena Immaculate. Now, yesterday we showed you video footage that appears to be from on board the Solong. In yesterday's video, I said that appeared to be coming from the bridge of that vessel. However, it's just a great thing about the community that we have here online is we have a lot of professionals that watch that have worked on this type of vessel. I have not worked on this type of vessel. And they said it looked that it was too low to be from the bridge, and it was most likely from the accommodation block, from one of the forward-facing cabins, which makes a lot of sense. So this explains why we can't hear lots of alarms or anybody else talking in the background, because he's not on the bridge. If you look at the photographs here, you can see where we're talking about, and the height from the containers on top there, he's too low down to be on the bridge. And most likely he was resting in his cabin or sleeping even when the incident happened, and if he was stood up, it probably would have knocked him off his feet. So you can understand, you know, when he looks out the window, when he sees what's happened, he's shocked and kind of confused as to what's actually going on. So, you know, lots of comments, negative comments in the comment section yesterday, but you have to try to put some perspective on that. All right, so we've got some new footage here. This comes from Orca AI. Clearly had a thermal camera on board. Another tanker that was also at anchor nearby. Video captured the moment of impact and the explosion that followed. Now, it's not nighttime here. This is taken with a thermal camera. This is what it looks like. They're usually quite low framed, like low resolution and lower frame rates than normal cameras, so that's probably why it looks a bit blocky. If we look through the normal camera, they have a normal camera and you can switch over to thermal, you can see that it's daylight, and we can see how, in fact, foggy it is, right? In the video we showed yesterday, many people saying it doesn't look foggy at all. Well, those vessels had already crashed into each other. They were very close. So this shows you that the visibility for the eyeball wasn't very good. So you can see from that normal camera how foggy it is. Now, I'm going to go through some comments to give some more perspective. Lots of comments asking why the Solong sailed through an anchorage. As far as we can tell, we've looked at a number of charts now, the Stena Immaculate was not actually anchored in an anchorage, but it was likely a little north of there is an anchorage in this area called the Immingham anchorage. It's shown on screen here. Now, it's perfectly okay to drop anchor in a place that is not a designated anchorage. On the other side of that, others have asked why the tanker was anchored in a shipping lane. Lots of areas have anchorages which are locally managed, you know, by those ports. However, you can also, like I said, drop anchor in areas that are not managed anchorages, which seems to be what the US flagged vessel did. As for it being in a shipping lane, it doesn't appear to be a marked shipping lane on charts. Of course, the Solong was frequently going up and down the coast, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a marked shipping lane. Regardless, it was the responsibility of the moving vessel to avoid hitting the stationary one. If you park your car at the side of the road, even though it's not a car park, it doesn't mean that you're responsible for the person crashing into you when you're stopped at the side of the road, right? That's a simplistic version, but you know, it's a good way for everybody to think about it. Now, other questions included why there was no anchor watch on the US flagged vessel. Well, we have no idea what was going on the bridge of that vessel. I'm sure there was an anchor watch. The bottom line is, even if there was an anchor watch on the Stena Immaculate, the other vessel approaching they wouldn't have had time to move out of the way, even if they clocked it, you know, a number of miles away. But it takes time to start the engines. It takes time to weigh the anchor, to raise the anchor. It takes too much time for them to be able to move out of the way. It's possible that they could have been calling the other vessel on the VHF, warning them that they were on a collision course, but if there was nobody on the bridge of the other vessel, then that would have fallen on deaf ears as well. Now, obviously, when they do the investigation, they'll pull the VDRs from both vessels, Initially, I believed that the one on the Salong might have been destroyed in that fire. It may have been, but now that I've seen photographs since the fire, I'm a little bit more hopeful that it will have survived and they will be able to find out what was going on the bridge of both vessels. Now, a number of questions have been about what would be happening on the bridge of the MV Salong. There would have been collision alarms sounding on the bridge of that vessel from quite a fair distance. On the ECDIS system, when it picks up that you're on a collision course with another vessel, it will sound an alarm and it will give visual indicators on the ECDIS system that there is a collision impending. However, these alarms can be silenced because they do go off quite a lot, actually. So some people might silence them. Also, if there was nobody on the bridge, then nobody's going to hear that alarm, right? Now, usually, or sometimes in the captain's cabin, they will have backup systems, or they'll have access to the screens of the ECDIS and the radar from the bridge in their cabins. Now, this is something that we have on cruise ships and we have on yachts. I don't know if they have this on this type of vessel. I'm sure someone will tell us in the comments section, but usually on the vessels I've worked on, we have redundant screens or extra screens, like mirrored screens in the captain's cabin, so he can see what's going on. But usually they have an office in their cabin. Now, the Humberside police who arrested the captain of the vessel, the Russian captain, have applied for extra time for questioning. Now, there were some comments in the comments section that suggested that this can only be done for suspected terrorism and national security. This is false. This is how misinformation is spread. A quick search online shows the actual rules. This is from the government website. It says the police can hold you for up to 24 hours before they have to charge you with a crime or release you. However, they can apply to hold you for up to 36 to 96 hours if you're suspected of a serious crime such as murder. And they can hold you up to 14 days without charge if they suspect it of being terrorism. So the 36 to 96 hours is for serious crimes, right? So don't believe everything you read in the comments section. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave that one there. We'll follow up on that one when we have more to give you. Obviously, there's an investigation going on now, and that's going to take time. It could take as long as a year, maybe even longer. All right, we'll move on. There has been another fire in Egypt on a dive boat in Port Ghalib. This is the same place where the other vessel sailed from, the most recent one, where we lost a number of people when it capsized at sea. I've got this. This comes from a German website. I believe it's translated into English here. It says, this morning, the Seven Seas caught fire. This is the Emperor Seven Seas, caught fire in the port of Ghalib and finally burned down completely. It's translated from German, like I said. Here is the official statement from Emperor, the company that runs it. They said, thumbs up for the successful evacuation. In the early morning hours of March 13th, the Emperor Seven Seas was anchored at Port Ghalib when unfortunately a fire broke out that could not be contained. Emperor Divers is grateful to our dedicated and effective crew who, together with the guests on board, carried out evacuation measures that ensured that everyone was able to leave the ship unharmed. All customers and crew are now safely ashore in Port Ghalib. Now that's great news. Nobody was injured. Luckily, the vessel was in port when it caught fire. It will be interesting to know how it caught fire. Most likely scenario is engine room, laundry, if there is one, or the galley, right? But we'll be interested to see what caused that. Now, I will say, obviously, it's great that everybody got off. We don't know of the conditions of that vessel. If you're on that vessel, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. One of the things that's interesting, I always find interesting when these Egyptian dive boat disasters happen, is that one of the priorities of the companies that run these dive boats seems to be to go to their website and remove the vessel from their website as quickly as possible. That this only happened a few hours ago, and yet when we went to the website, the boat has already been removed. However, we have such things as web archives, and you can see here, we go back a couple of months, and here's the same website with the boat still on there. So I don't know why they always feel that they need to do that quickly. It just smells of cover-up when they do it. The fact is that they ran that boat, and there's been an unfortunate fire on board. But it just seems odd to me when they do this kind of thing, and it makes you feel like, that they're trying to hide something, right? Now, on the website from the Web Archive, it says that this vessel is a Red Sea icon and it's a multiple award-winning boat which combines elegance, grandeur, and incredible service. I don't know who the awards were from. Would be interesting to know. They didn't mention who actually gave them awards, but again, as if we had to repeat it, I would not be going anywhere near Egypt when it comes to dive boats. They just have such an awful record. There have been 20 plus disasters in the last few years, and I wouldn't go near one of those vessels. I think you should stay away. If you're planning on going on one of these vessels, I would just say simply don't go, because it seems to be that these dive boats are actually contributing to future dive sites by sinking as regularly as as car crashes in some other countries. So yeah, I would avoid them at all costs. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. If you've got any information for us about any of these stories or any others, please be sure to get in touch. We've got the email address here in the ticker, and you can get us on social media, etc. Be sure to like this video, very important for the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for future notifications. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.